who I am. be seated. I'm going to ask Sheldon to say the offering. He knows to come up.
Almighty God, we just thank you. We got the freedom to gather together in this house this morning. Father, it's not about this building. It's about the hearts and souls. Lord God, we just thank you and praise you for who you are. You are a good, good Father. No matter what we face, no matter what we go through, we put our hope and our trust in you, Lord God. It's all going to work out. We thank you and we praise you for loving us, for caring for us, for loving us so much that you gave us your only Son. But you didn't leave him in the grave. We thank you for his resurrection power, Lord God, for his blood that washes away our sins. We praise you. Lord, we come now. It's a time to offer to you our tithes and our offerings, just a small portion of the many blessings you've given us. Lord, we just ask that you would accept them this morning, that they would be a sweet smelling sacrifice to you. And God, that you would take them and multiply them and use them to further your work here on earth. In Jesus' almighty name we pray. Amen.
Test, test. Test, test. Test.
Oh, stay right here. Stay.
Okay. Ooh, you might want to turn that down. Happy Mother's Day. So this morning, our class would like to share some mothers' information with you because we want you to know a little bit more about their mothers. And so they have been interviewed, and we would like to share some of the information with you. So we are going to let you in on a little bit of secrets about their mothers. So, guys, hold your flowers. They're very delicate. They're not swords, Benson. So, if you get a flower, we'll be lucky. So, what we're going to do this morning is we're going to share a couple of answers to some interview questions that we did with your children. And we're going to let them present you with a lovely gift. So, if you will indulge us, we're going to start with Izzy and Jaden. So, Izzy and Jaden, if you'll step forward with Miss Angie, we are going to tell you a couple of things about their mom. They said, my mom always says, kids, stop being bad. My mom and I, we always like to have movie nights together. And I love my mom because she makes yummy, yummy dinners. Our mom's name is Taylor.
right, so next we have Peyton and Hayden. Come here, girls. All right. They said that their mom weighs 49 pounds. Her favorite color is purple, and she cooks the best ramen noodles. And their mom's name is Mary, so go find your mom, girls. There she is.
Mom, you might have to help them just because they don't know where you sat. Mario is not your mom. Okay. Benson. Come on up here, Benson. We all know your mom. Don't just be gentle. Okay, Benson says, my mom weighs 4,000 pounds. My mom always says, Grandpa. I love my mom because she says I am cute all the time. My mom's name is Jennifer. Go find your mom.
All right, next we have Bella and Riley. Come here. Come here, Bella. Nope, this Riley. Okay. We have two Riley. Sorry. Okay. All right, they said that their mom is 16 years old. She weighs 60 pounds. And this one's my favorite. They said their mom's job is to clean the house up so friends can come over. Their mom's name is Jana. So look, find Mama. Where's she at? There she is. Go give her a flower.
Aww. Okay, Isabella. Where's my Isabella? Oh, we had to edit this one a lot. Isabella said, my mom always says no, no, and thank you. If my mom had time, she would love to make lots of cakes. No, you can't have the microphone. Go stand in line. I love my mom because I love her and I love my daddy. She really loves me. My mom's name is Crystal. Go find Mom and give her a flower.
All right, next we have another Riley. Come here, Riley. All right, Riley said that her mom always says no. She also said that her mom cooks the best chicken and rice. Riley's mom's name is Rebecca. Go find Mommy.
Bryson and Brody, come on. Wait, I haven't told her yet. Come over here with me. Come over here. Y'all wouldn't know this, but their mom is 90 years old. And she weighs 90 pounds. Her favorite food, they have no idea. She's the best cook in the world because she can make the best hot dog you've ever eaten. She likes to play a whole lot. Their mom's name is Danielle. Now you can go give her your flowers.
All right, now I have Natalie and Lena. Their mom always says, I love you. She cooks the best Pizza Hut.
Here you go. Give them enough.
And they said they love their mom because God gave her to them. Their mom's name is Katie. Go give Mommy a flower.
My sweet Mary Claire. I love Mary Claire. If you ever want to get rid of Mary Claire, I have no girls and I'll take this one.
You're next.
Mary Claire says her mom weighs 35 pounds. That's why I want her. She says, my mom laughs when I say silly things. My mom really loves to play with me and my sister. And she always says, if I tell you one more time, I'm going to spank you. My mom's name is Natalie.
All now we have Micah. I had to get what I could from Micah. He was getting a little off topic, but that's okay. Something about a soccer ball. I don't know. All right, so Micah's mom's favorite color is red, and her favorite food is biscotti. Not spaghetti, but biscotti. Gotta give Mommy a flower. You see her? He's got one.
Okay, I have Johnson, the sharpest dressed man here today. Come on, Johnson. Come up here with me. We got to get Johnson because he's already gone through 3 flowers. Okay, my mom is 4 years old. My mom laughs at everything. She loves me because she cooks really good stuff. I love my mom, and she loves me when I'm good. My mom's name is Emma. She's right back there. And our last person is Ava. And Mom's not here today, but Ava came with her Aunt Trina. Do you love your Aunt Trina? She loves her Aunt Trina, and she wanted to give her a flower. So Aunt Trina, stand up so Ava can come to you. Did I have Adams? Hang on. Yep. And now we got Adam. Adam, come up here, Adam. Isn't he sweet? Oh, well, Adam said, I don't need you to read my paper, but he said his mom's 20 years old, and her favorite color's purple, and she eats a lot of broccoli. So that's Adam. Okay, at this time, we've got a video for you.
All right, give a round clap, a hand of applause for all the mothers here today. And all their cute childrens. But on that subject, we really are thankful for all the mamas that are here today. We wouldn't be here without y'all. Really, with all these cute little kids, it's a good time to throw out there. They're always in need, and we're in need now of more volunteers for kids. So if that kind of tugged at your heartstrings a little bit and you like it, talk to Miss Angie. She's normally easy to find. You can just be quiet and listen, and she'll be loud enough you can hear. Or tell Matthew, tell Michelle, just tell somebody that, hey, I wouldn't mind volunteering. And we'd love to have you there. Also, if you have any musical talents, beatboxing included, hey! I thought that was good, and y'all like, he is in church and he is beatbopping. Now, if you got any musical talents and you want to use them to serve God, here's your opportunity. Talk to Kevin. Kevin, he's the good-looking brother of mine that stands up here and sings. He's second in line behind me. Talk to Matthew, the preacher. Let him know, and we'll find something for you to do. I'm sure you can do something. If you don't have talent but think you have talent, we'll let you know that too. Love you. Graduation Sunday, June 4th. We keep announcing that, so graduates know the deal. But also on June 11th, we're going to have grilling and chilling. That's good if you've never been, and that's going to be baby dedication. So if you had a baby over this past year and you want to be a part of this service, let Matthew know. If you don't find Matthew, let Michelle know. Let somebody know. With that being said, at this time, stand up, greet your neighbor, tell them, I almost said a bad joke. Tell them you're glad they had a mama so they're here, okay? Let's just leave it at that. Say, I'm glad you're here today. And then we'll turn to the video.
Good morning, everybody. Man, y'all all pumped up now. I need to get the kids in here more often because they get you like riled up and already laughing at cheesy jokes and stuff like that. So I need to get them youngins over here more often. But anyway, if you were here last Sunday, you were here while we kicked off the beginning of a new little series we're doing called Know Your Enemy. We're talking about in which ways that the devil specifically attacks you as a believer of Christ. It's important to know God, but it's also important to know who your enemy is, because you can, if you're aware of how he's attacking you, you can be more aware of how to defeat that and how to overcome that. So if you've got your Bibles here this morning, we're going to turn on into Proverbs this morning and get going in here. Last week we talked about priorities. And we talked about how the devil not only gets you to sin to get you away from God, but he gets you distracted by the good things. And if you're not purposeful in putting the important things first and the second important things second and so forth, then he can get you so distracted by that. If you don't have priorities right, the devil can get you and get that to get you away from God. And then secondly, what we're talking about today, we're talking about offense. Can you turn me down just a little bit there, Travis, on the microphone? There we go. That sounds a little bit better. Can y'all still hear me good? Perfect. I got that quiet voice. When I entered the ministry, I prayed for God to give me like a preacher voice, that, but still working on that. Still got that light, quiet, mild-mannered voice, so we're still going. But Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 19, we're going to get in that in just a second, but a weapon that the devil uses is offense. If the devil can get you offended at somebody and get your feelings hurt, then he can get you to turn away from your neighbor, he can get you to turn away from your family, to turn away from every good thing that he can throw, that God can put in your life, and you can turn your back on it. We live in this world where offensive is like a popular word. I think it's like the cool thing to do now, to be offended. And you will be surprised at how easy it is for people to get offended. Y'all know this, but y'all know before I was a pastor, I was a paramedic for years and years. Still am. Still work 1 or 2 shifts a month in Wilson. Last summer, we got this little thing, this little computer. I feel like I'm looking at my note. We had this little computer at work, and it shows us all the calls that are going on in the city. And so what we'll do when I'm bored, I'll go on there and I'll look and I'll just see what the police department's doing and stuff, just because I'm nosy. It's the best thing for me. And I'll sit there and I was sitting there just looking, and I look at this call like a disturbance. You click on it and it shows, Jared, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. And I looked in there and I was like, 2 neighbors were fighting, and they got notes that the dispatchers put in on the notes. And I was like, let's read how these neighbors got offended with each other. This is a certifiable true story these two neighbors ended up hitting each other with 2x4s one afternoon because one neighbor got offended that his other neighbor came across and cut his grass one day. Like, let me tell you right now, if you choose to come over to my house and cut my grass for me, I'm not going to get offended. But literally, and I was asking the cop that went to that call, I was like, what's up with that? Because that's just like something that, what? And he said, well, the guy, he thought that the guy cutting his grass, like he was saying that he wasn't good enough to cut his own grass. He was saying it was a knock on his high grass or something. So a good deed ended up being taken so wrong, and two neighbors ended up having a big fight about it. But how many of those things happen in families and in friendships, in churches, where a good intention is misinterpreted and it causes offense to be happen, and it causes hurt to be happen, and it causes, if you don't deal with that, then before you know it, you're beating each other with 2x4s with your shirts off and tank tops on, Friday afternoon. I would hope that wouldn't happen to any of our New Direction church family, just because that would probably give a bad representation of what church is all about. But is it wrong to be hurt? Sometimes in life, our feelings get hurt, and people do things. Sometimes people do things intentionally to hurt you, to rub you the wrong way. 90% of the time, it's unintentional. It's like that neighbor that had a good intention to go cut his neighbor's grass, and for whatever reason, he took it the wrong way. The devil can get you hurt. The devil can get you isolated. Proverbs chapter 18, I've been teasing you with it for 3 times now, says, an offended friend is harder to win back than a fortified city. Arguments separate friends like a gate with locked bars. And you can flip over the page here. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 11, I think. In my Bible, you flip over the page. Y'all might be on the same page. It says, sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. So there's 2 verses right there. I always love Proverbs because Proverbs is like called the book of wisdom. And if you want wisdom, if you want to kind of know how a Christian should kind of walk out their life, just look at Proverbs. I used to read Proverbs so much when I was a new Christian, really because it was short and I felt like I was reading a whole lot, and it was just like 2 little blurbs and stuff. I felt like I was getting more credit with God. But if you want to read Proverbs, if you want to know what it's like to kind of walk that Christian life, go read Proverbs. And I said about this, offense gets you. Offense is an attack, just like priorities. The devil's got certain ways that he can kind of get at your heart, that he can get at you. If he can get at you, then he can get in your family. If he can get you, he can get many people. He can get a church. He can get your family, he can get your friendships, he can get your career. Offense, the devil puts in there because when a devil gets you offended and he gets your feelings hurt, then he can rob from you. And he can rob from you 2 things. He can rob love from you, and he can rob potential blessings from you for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. How many people do we know that they've had a great relationship with, let's just say, a friend, and you can probably think back to some relationship you've had in your life, a friendship, a family member, and at one time or another somebody took something the wrong way and it wasn't dealt with. Somebody got their feelings hurt and it wasn't dealt with, and you haven't really had that same relationship with that person since that day. Now think about all the good times you had with that person before that hurt came in. Think about how many good times you've had with that person since that hurt's come in. Chances are you've shut that person out of your life. The devil, you just let the devil rob you from somebody to love and somebody to love you. No, you just let the devil rob you from a person, but you've let the devil take away all the things that that person could have added to your life. Me and Michelle have had our share of squabbles. She's offended me before. I've offended her before. But if we don't ever get over that, I can't imagine like if what my life would be like if the first time she had hurt my feelings if I walked away from her and cut her out of my life. I wouldn't have a wife. I wouldn't have all the good things she gives me. I wouldn't have my best friend. I wouldn't have that little boy over there in the nursery right now. He's probably crawling and spitting up on everything. But I wouldn't have that. Think about how many times a person gets offended with a church. A lot of people, and I can relate to this because I used to be this person. I was this person. I was raised in a church and loved the church and was fully hearted in there. And then one day, and this happens to people all across America, it's happening this Sunday morning as we speak. Somebody somewhere in a church is getting hurt, whether purposeful or most likely inadvertently. The pastor didn't wave at them the right way. They came in and somebody else was having a terrible day, struggling with the kids, and they didn't greet them the same way. They suggested something, the board didn't approve it, whatever it is, and they got hurt by that. And what happens when that person gets hurt by the church is a lot of times that person quits going to the church. I talk to people each and every Sunday who say, man, it's the first time I've been to church in 5 years, in 10 years. Some people 30, 40 years, because somewhere along the line they were hurt one day by a church. A church offended them. And they left and they didn't go back. Now think about all that time that person lost. Think about everything that person lost by letting that offense keep them from a church body. Like, I come in here every Sunday morning, and I love to come to church now because I love to see my family pouring into me, giving me love, pat me on the back when I'm down. When I'm down, some of them joking around saying, you need to cheer up, you're the preacher. That's all right. I love that. I love that. That's what a family does. I look at the way the church family pours into you by a church family helping you. Look at all the blessings in life that people shut out because they get offended by a church and they walk away from it. If the devil can get you offended, he can get you to leave. If the devil can get you offended, he can isolate you. He can isolate you from within. Proverbs 18 verse 19, it said it identified hurt friends as a strong walled city. It says an offended friend is harder to win back than a fortified city. Back before Jesus' day, well, in Jesus' day and even before Jesus' day, what happened was that cities, they went out and they were in the desert and the wilderness, and oftentimes they were way away from everyone else. So what they did, they would have a group, and it often started with a family, and it grew into a town. And the very first thing you did when you established a town back in that day was to put up walls. And that's exactly what the Bible was referencing in a friended friend too. You build up walls to keep others out. You build up walls because you don't want any other person to come in and do you harm. And a lot of people, they build up walls because they were hurt at one time in the past. And you build up walls to try to keep other people out, to try to keep you safe from getting hurt again. Because that's not right. That cuts you off from the rest of the world. The problem with walls is that it keeps you safe, but the problem with walls is that if you don't get anything through that wall, eventually you starve yourself to death. Because everyone is made to be loved. And God has made this family, this church family. God doesn't make anybody to go through life alone. God knows that He needs other people. That you need other people, no matter how tough you are, to pour into you at some point or another. People need to be loved. People need other people to come into their lives and be able to encourage them and speak truth into them when they need to. It's just like a seed. If I were to take a seed and if I were to plant it in the ground, farmers, this is Greene County, so a lot of y'all farmers know about this, but if I were to take a seed and I was to plant it in the ground, and then that seed wasn't to take anything from the outside, that seed was just going to sit there on its own in the dirt and say, I'm going to grow into something great and something majestic all on my own. What would that seed do? It would sit there and it would shrivel up and it would die a slow and painful death. That little seed would sit in the ground, and anytime sunlight would come in, it would put this hard little shell around and say, no, I don't need any sunlight. I'm going to do this on my own. Every time God would send a little shower of rain, that little seed would say, no, I don't need your water. I'm going to do this on my own. That seed would never produce an ounce of fruit in this life because that seed would not have the blessings from the outside world. If the devil can get you offended, you'll be just like that seed. You'll put up walls. You'll put over a hard shell and won't let anything else inside to grow you from the outside world. It causes you to form a bitter root. Now listen to me. A lot of you, you want to do great things in ministry, and that's good. And even in your personal life, you'll want to have the blessing and the fruit that the Christian life is supposed to produce in your life. But if you have a bitter root, let me tell you something. Bitter roots produce bitter fruit. Good fruit comes from a good seed. It comes from healthy roots that get nourished. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15. I'm going to flip over there real quick. For those of y'all didn't bring your Bible, just wrong. I always forget, so. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15, it says, look after each other, so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Listen to this next verse here. It says, watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. Now we're going to go back into that corrupting many in just a second, but if your heart takes on a hurt, and I want to get real here for just a minute, because some of you are thinking about things last week, and there's some of you that have been carrying things way back from your childhood, from your teenage years, from the beginning of a marriage, from whatever it is. Some of you have been carrying folks for a lifetime, and you've carried on that offense and that hurt, and without even recognizing it, you put up walls over time. You put up walls and you blocked yourself off as a strong city, and you've sold yourself that you're going to stand out here and you're going to do life just by yourself, and you're not going to trust anybody else to come in, because you know what? Because I'm scared, because somebody hurt me one time, and I'm scared what trusting somebody, what letting somebody else into my life enough to love me might do to me. And some of you are sitting out there after years of doing that, and you're figuring out that bitter roots produce bitter fruit. You're figuring out that, man, I'm starving, I'm struggling. It's not so great being out here all alone. God doesn't want you to have bitterness and coldness and hurt in your heart. He wants you to let that go. The devil puts that hurt there so that you can keep other people out, other good people out. And a lot of you family members, parents especially, wives, husbands, I'm talking to you. If you've got bitterness in your heart, then the only thing you have to give to your loved ones is more bitterness. Is more bitterness. If you've got hurt in your heart, then guess what? A lot of times the only thing you dish out is more hurt. Until you get rid of that bitter fruit, there will be no good tasting fruit in your life. That's why the last part of this verse, I look at this verse a lot of times and it says, watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you. Okay, God says that if that bitterness is in your heart, guess what? It's going to trouble you, and you're going to reap that in your own self. But guess what? Corrupting many. Bitterness doesn't just stay with you. It goes to the ones you love and the ones you do care about and the ones that you have let in. A lot of you in ministry, think about it. If I have all the wisdom in the world in ministry, but I have a bitter heart and I don't trust people and I'm cold and I'm callous and I carry around every hurt that someone has ever done to me and I put it on y'all, then are y'all feeling love, or are y'all feeling my coldness and my callousness? You have to get over your past hurts if you're ever going to be what God calls you to be. And you can fight this in two ways. You can fight this in two ways. Ephesians chapter 4. I always say put a ribbon in it. It's like Bibles come with ribbons. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 through 32. It says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Listen to this. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. And then Colossians. I love the book of Colossians. If you're a new Christian, read it. It's a good read. It's an easy read. Colossians chapter 3, verse 12 through 13. Since God chose you to be the holy people He loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Make allowance for each other's faults. Some of y'all need to highlight that. Make allowance for each other's faults. You know why it's in there? Because the Word, God knew that no one was perfect. And if you expect perfection from people, you're always going to be disappointed. So that's why God put in there, make allowance for each other's faults, because it's going to happen. And forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. You do two things to protect yourself from that root of bitterness through offense. Assume the best in people and forgive them when they let you down. I think about so many fights that get started, and I'm like, do you realize a lot of times I'll have to come in and kind of mediate between two people who are arguing. I guess that's part of the role as a pastor that you get called into. And I'll go to this person and I'll get their side of the story. And then I'll go to this other person and I'll get their side of the story. And you know what happens? Is that this person did this trying to help this other person, but they took it the wrong way. You know why they took it the wrong way? Because they're still over a hurt that somebody else did to them, so they don't trust them. And this person responded this way because they're trying to help this other person out, and that person took it the wrong way. And no one actually goes to the person in brotherly love and just explains that, hey, I was trying to look after your best. Instead, if you just assume the best from the beginning, you wouldn't have even been bristled up in the first place. When me and Michelle started, when we got engaged, I've shared this story before. Y'all gonna hear it again. When we got engaged, we're making a lot of those decisions that young couples make, like houses and just picking out like drapes. That wasn't me, that was her. We're just making all these decisions, these big life decisions that couples make when they get engaged. And I had done a couple of things like trying to protect her from a stress because she's planning a wedding, and I'd make a couple of decisions with the house, like the way it was going to be financed, just all that type of stuff. And I didn't even ask her about it because she already had enough going on. She had started a new job. She was planning a wedding. She was about to move to a new town. I didn't want to stress her with it. Well, guess what? It offended her. Because guess why? Because I didn't respect her enough to ask her. But no, I really wasn't trying to disrespect her at all. I was trying to protect her. Now, likewise, Michelle was over here, the very same time frame. Michelle was sitting over here picking out furniture, doing these things and doing that things. And I'm like, she don't care at all what I have to think about our new house. She's just trying to womanize up my house. But you know what? Michelle was trying to protect me from having to make those decisions. And you know what? We were at each other's throats, and we were letting that seed of offense and bitterness start to grow. And I was beginning to not trust her, and she was beginning to not trust me. You know what? She sat down one night, and she said one of the wisest things I have ever heard anybody say. She said, if we're going to do this thing, if we're going to be tied together, and if we're going to love each other as God wants us to love each other, let's always assume the best. I don't ever want to throw past hurts that other people have done on you. If Christians would assume the best in other Christians and then ask them about it, then half of the fights that I would say this, 90% of the fights and the arguments that happen would never happen. Would never happen. I have a good story. One time I was I got time to tell it. It's a funny story. When I was I'm a preacher. I'll let y'all that early enough, I promise. But look, when I was like 18 or 19 years old, I might have been younger than that, I don't know. I was dating this girl. I talked about a girl I was dating last Sunday, and now I'm talking about another one. That's what happens when Michelle goes over there to the kids. I can talk about anything I want to talk about. When I was dating this girl, and this girl had a little bit of a temper. It was one of them bullets I dodged, you know. I was like, whoo, thank you, Lord, that I'm not married to her. And I was going to go hunting with her one day, right? That's because that's what Greene County you do. When you're dating somebody, you take them hunting. Girls, if a Greene County boy asks you to go hunting, let me tell you, he likes you, okay? Because men, ain't nobody want to climb up a deer stand with some woman. Just really, if you're trying to kill a deer, you ain't gonna climb up there with a girl. But anyway, I was going hunting with this girl, so I had my rifle, my shotgun, just both of them like slung over there in the truck seat, and she had a little bit of a temper, right? And I was running late, okay? So I was like exceeding the suggested speed limit that the state of North Carolina has. And there's people in this world called North Carolina Highway Patrolmen that don't like that. So I blew by this highway patrolman, and I ain't gonna say how fast I was going, but it was over 55, and I immediately just pulled on over, right? Because I just said, well, he's got me, and sure enough, he come up behind me. Now, a little backstory to that. About that time, all of my friends were taking the hunter safety, not the hunter safety course, the concealed carry class, right? And so, when your friends are doing something, you hear about that all the time, whatever they're doing, right? It's like, so all week long, I've been hearing about this gun safety class. And I've been hearing all week long that if you're ever pulled off by a police officer, you need to tell them that you have a firearm in the vehicle. So when the trooper gets up behind me, I'm thinking to myself that I need to let him know that I have a firearm in this vehicle. However, my execution failed a little bit. Because as soon as he opened up his door and got out, I just yelled out the window, "Hey, I got a gun!" Confession, your pastor has been ordered out of his truck at gunpoint by a state trooper before. And that trooper, I did the whole, walk backwards to stand on my voice thing. He, got himself together because he almost pooped himself, and I almost pooped myself. And he says, "Get in the car." And I went over there, and he said, "Get in the front seat," because I just thought I was going to jail. And he sat there, and for 10 minutes, he didn't say anything. And then he just said, I started to apologize. He said, "Shut up." And so I did. And anyway, after it got all settled down, the trooper said, "I appreciate your good intentions. However, good intentions can go wrong somehow," right? So that's just a good illustration of what I'm talking about, though. I had good intentions to let that law officer know that I had a firearm. I was trying my best to obey the law that day. However, I executed it a little poorly, and it almost got me shot. Now that trooper got over his offense. Well, he gave me a ticket, but still. He still gave me a ticket, but anyway. But that's what I'm saying, though. So many of us have good intentions, and we try and we mean well. We really do. But we just execute it poorly. And if we're not careful, then the other person might shoot us. And then number 2, offer forgiveness. Offer forgiveness. Look, your feelings are going to get hurt in this world. They are. I mean, they're probably going to get hurt this week. Probably going to get hurt by your wife, by your husband, by your girlfriend, by your boyfriend. They're going to get hurt by your friends, by your church family, your co-workers. Hurt is out there. You're going to take something the wrong way. It's okay to be hurt. But you know what you got to do? You got to forgive them. You got to forgive them because God forgave us. I have a little special place in my heart with offense and forgiveness because I know what it cost. I know what it cost you. Some of y'all know this, some of y'all don't. Me and my father did not speak to each other for 10 years. We spoke to each other, but it was rough. And it was all because I got hurt. And I pushed him out of my life. And then he came back and asked for forgiveness, many times. And by that time, I had done built up a lot of walls, right? Because I didn't need him. I mean, I got through my first date without him. I taught myself how to shave without him. I got my first job without him. I didn't need him. And then one day, God got a hold of my heart, and he said, Matthew, look at what you're missing. And then I got a hold of the Word, and I looked, and I saw what God forgives. God forgives completely. And when God forgives, he doesn't just say something fancy like, I don't hate you anymore. When God forgives someone, he restores the relationship. The true benchmark for whether or not you've truly forgiven someone is have you went to that person and restore what was lost? Or are you still holding into offense? Are you still holding those hurts above the person? I lose a lot of sleep. I really do. About what happened between me and my dad. You know what keeps me up at night? Not the fact that I swallowed my pride and that I accepted what was done, but the fact that I lost 10 years with him I'll never get back. And that's something I gotta live with. Me and him have a great relationship now. We'll go fishing, we'll go out to dinner, we'll do everything that fathers and sons should do. He'll sit there and he'll give me wisdom. Wisdom that I would have killed for 10 years ago. And I'll sit there and I'll leave. Every time we even have a good day now, I'll leave and I'll hurt because I lost that for 10 years. And I still mourn the decade I lost with my dad because I couldn't get over my hurt. Let me tell you something. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. The devil took my hurt feelings and my offense, and he robbed from me a father. He's going to do the same thing to you if you let him. He'll let you rob a parent. He'll let you rob you of a spouse. He'll rob you of a church family. He will rob you from every good thing that he wants to bless you through that person with if you let him. Don't let him. Kevin gets up here and closes us out. I said that the measuring stick of forgiveness is relationship. You know what? You're supposed to forgive people because guess what? You've hurt people before. You're supposed to forgive people because guess what? God's forgiven you. And at one point, even now, you have been offensive to God. You've hurt God. As much joy as it makes me that sometimes I can make God smile, it hurts me that sometimes I hurt God. And I sting his heart. Just as much as people sting my heart, I've hurt God before. After all he's done for me, after all he's given me, as truly innocent as he is, and I still intentionally hurt him sometimes. No other person in the world has more of a reason, more of an excuse to build up a wall and separate me from them than God does. But you know what God did? He got over it. He got over it and he forgave me and he took me back just the way I am. Matter of fact, when Jesus died on the cross, it said the curtain was torn. That curtain was a symbol of the divide between us and God. God ripped jumped up off his throne as soon as Jesus took his last breath, and he went and he hugged his kids. He tore that divide because he wanted you. He wanted you back. What God forgives, God restores. And he restored you back to his own. And he called you his son and his daughter now. That's what forgiveness looks like. So as he plays this last song, look, I don't know where you are. Some of you are sitting out there and it's Mother's Day and you're bitter because your mom stunk. Some of you are sitting out there and you're bitter because you've got another family member that just stunk and hurt you. I think we've all got people that have put walls up toward from time to time. As they play this last song, can it be today that you get over that? And you let your walls down? And realize that maybe the person is more important than what they did to you.
That's good thing. This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. In your holy presence, living in me. This is my daily bread. This is my daily bread. Your very word spoken to me, and I'm desperate for you. And I'm lost without you. This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your holy presence, for you, oh Lord. I'm desperate for you, oh Lord.
All right. Nick, where you at, brother? Nick, come on, Aaron. Nick asked me to do this, y'all, so I'm not being weird here. This is Nick Beeman here, and this is Ben's brother. I think your mom and dad ain't bad, ain't they? He asked me to do this baptism Sunday, but I appreciate you for forgiving me. I was supposed to get up here and do this baptism Sunday, but we had so much going on, I forgot. But Nick approached me several weeks ago. He said that he had rededicated his life to the Lord. And he just wanted to stand up before all of y'all and say that. And let y'all know that. So y'all can hold him accountable. Also, y'all can celebrate that he's come back to the Lord. So give Nick. Coming back to the Lord, His arms are always open. He always loves us, man, and I always love you. And all right, we always love you, and God always loves you. So go out and have a good Mother's Day.